The county has called up cold storage units to hold bodies in case the county morgue reaches capacity. As of last week, it was at 75%. And Stephanie, you spoke to a forensic pathologist tonight about what it says about our situation here.
Yeah, Eric, Dr. Joyce DeYoung is based in Michigan, but she said this move by any entity shows a preparation for the worst. And she also said it isn't the only thing that is needed as the toll rises.
One of the things that we found and that I think is really important is to make certain that your funeral homes are well prepared, because if they don't have enough PPE and they don't have enough body bags, they're not going to feel comfortable and they will not be safe. If they say, we don't have adequate supplies, if that stops, now suddenly your chain there of somebody dying and having to go to the funeral home and either being buried or cremated, that's going to get disrupted and things are going to back up. And that's a bad thing.
Is that something that is unique to the situation that we are in because we're in a pandemic, or is that just standard procedure to put people into a body bag?
Now there's these concerns. And so now if you're in a nursing home or a hospital and you have COVID, even if you suspect it, they need to go into a body bag. And so the number of body bags needed has certainly increased. And, you know, hopefully maybe we can get back to a time, sometime in the future where that's not the case anymore, but we need to do that to protect the people who are in the industry of taking care of the dead.
Is there research that shows that the deceased can still pass on COVID? Is that why these extra precautions are being taken?
When we test the dead, we're seeing positive results. So we know that the virus is there, and sometimes they're still testing positive, hours to days after they died. So it's still there. It may not be an intact virus, but we're seeing it. And so you just really want to be careful about that. I mean, we on occasion are doing autopsies on people who died from COVID. And in that case, it's clearly you want to have, really adequate PPE.
How dire is the situation if the county is having to call in for backup space for bodies?
If they need this additional space and they have agreements and they're managing to get these resources in, I think it's just being well prepared. There have been some scenarios where hospitals didn't have adequate storage, so they found a warehouse, and they were putting them on the floor in the warehouse. That's really not being well prepared. And, it's not necessarily refrigerated. And it's also not how we care for the dead in this country.
It also, I would think, is a good reminder that if you don't want your family member to end up in this situation, then everyone needs to be safe, right? Especially during a pandemic.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, anything we can do to slow the spread and to decrease the number of fatalities is really important and really critical. And I know a lot of times, they say, well, this is, these are people who were old and had other comorbidities, and that's true, but they're also someone's family member and they're somebody's loved one. And they're, and I think it really hurts too that they're dying alone. A lot of them are dying alone. And that I think is a really painful thing.
The forensic pathologist out of Michigan, Dr. Joyce DeYoung, said that during this pandemic, she's also seeing an increase of deaths that are not COVID related, specifically overdoses. And she's also seeing an increase in people dying at home.